We have a ton of new Avengers Doomsday plot details to go over today. And when I say a ton, I mean a ton. These are listed in bullet point format, and there are over 30 bullet points that we're going to break down in today's video. And also, if you didn't catch this, it looks like Marvel is doing a collab with Oreo. At least according to Greenville Online, Oreo has launched a new Marvel-themed cookie inspired by Doctor Doom titled Masked Decadence, and the flavor is supposedly, it's supposed to turn your tongue green when you eat it. So that's pretty clever, and you get a little look at Doom here. It's obviously very animated, but what this means is Marvel clearly has collabs planned and promotions planned, which are going to be public very soon, which means they're probably going to start launching a new wave of campaigns, which means that trailers probably getting a lot closer. We're looking at next month for some type of an official announcement from Marvel, because it's been 1 year since that chair video. That's next month. So it looks like they're going to do something, and it looks like the promotion for the movie is going to pick up pretty big, like big time, because this is planned to come out with Oreo, which means, you know, you can't just start releasing things and nobody really knows what it's connected to. So it's going to be connected to Avengers Doomsday, which means they're going to have to get a lot of people aware of it. The casual fans, obviously, we're all aware of it. But going back to these bullet points, a lot to go over today. We're just going to go into it. We'll start with the first one. Boris, a Latvian character, is part of the movie and has an important role. Now, Boris is very important to Doctor Doom, and I'm assuming if he is in the movie, he's probably from the 828 universe, because it looks like, according to a lot of reports, and this one as well, Doom is going to be from the 828 universe. And it looks like more of the rivalry between Reed and Doom is going to be explored in this movie. We'll get into that a little bit more into these details. But I, for one, I was worried about this, but I think this is actually a good way to do it. I still worry about recasting Doom after, because they need, the Fantastic Four are going to remain the Fantastic Four. So how are you going to handle the Reed rivalry if you recast Doom? We'll deal with that when we get there, but luckily it does seem like Reed and Doom have a pretty good history in the MCU. Now, these are all coming from the Insider Majestic. Obviously, with any plot leaks that we read, take it with a grain of salt. Nothing is officially confirmed, but there's a lot of great things in here. The next one is Sam's Avengers and the new Avengers, which I'm assuming are just the Thunderbolts, the Avengers with a Z, rush towards the Fantastic Four ship at the same time, but Sam's team arrives first. Thor, who was sent by Love on his journey, is one of the first to interact with the Fantastic Four, reportedly asking, "Who the hell are you guys?" Parallel universes, maybe. And we did hear a report in the past that Love, being brought back to life by Eternity and having some of Eternity's powers, or at least being connected to Eternity, does sense that something is coming, and that's how Thor gets alerted that something is happening, and that's why he returns to Earth. The next one says, Doom has several followers, around 4, including 3 witches who can shapeshift. That's going to be interesting. They say possibly black swans. One wears a purple cloak with a gold mask, another an orange cloak with a gold mask, and a third a classic green cloak. The purple one could be Clea, and the green one could be Sylvie, they state, which would be interesting to see Sylvie with Doom. I'm assuming Loki kind of sees what's going on, but we have heard that Sylvie's going to make kind of a sacrifice for Loki. So we'll have to wait and see on this. But we have heard from many different insiders that some of our heroes that we know and love will side with Doom, because he at least is going to make it seem like at first that he is trying to save the multiverse. We'll have to wait and see on that. But along with this is the report, the next bullet point, that Haley Atwell has multiple roles and was reportedly seen in Doom's witch costume. The context is unclear, but it's possibly a witch disguised as her, meaning one of those shape-shifting witches could be turned into Haley Atwell's Peggy Carter and be going against Steve Rogers. That could be that particular reason that they shapeshift into her. We know she's going to be in the movie, obviously, in the beginning, because Steve Rogers is returning and she's the mother of his child. But we have heard from many insiders at this point in time that, 1, she does have multiple roles, and this is another report backing that up, but 2, she will be with Doom, but maybe it is a shapeshifter and not actually her. Now, this one's interesting. I don't know about this one. It says Loki does not form a team. No TVA team. I don't know about that, and the reason I don't know about that is because it seems like the original plot for Deadpool was for the TVA to send Deadpool and Wolverine to send them to rescue a bunch of heroes from their dying universes and make a team, essentially. And that's kind of what I feel is going to happen in this film. And I think Loki being attached to all the timelines, everything, could see Doom coming, and he would put a team together and send that team. So I don't know about that one. A Franklin Doom conversation continues from the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. Yeah, we obviously know that. In the Fantastic Four post-credit scene, Sue and Franklin are home while the rest are at a baseball game. And what's interesting is we did see in the trailer for the Fantastic Four First Steps, or trailers, a baseball field, but we never saw that in the actual movie. So maybe this was actually supposed to make it in there, but it was cut. It says, Gambit and Yelena interact in multiple scenes. There are no Doom variants, but there are Doom bots, which is quite interesting. We've heard from many insiders at this point in time that Doom bots are going to be in the film. Doom wears multiple masks throughout the movie. We have heard this one before as well. I am kind of questioning why he wears multiple masks, but since we have a trailer for Wakanda and Talokan, and we have seen new vibranium, or I should say mixed vibranium, maybe he gets a new mask that is made of vibranium. That would make the most sense to me. And that would probably be the strongest mask that he could get, of course, fusing it with his magic. So that makes sense that he would already have a mask because of his scars. But once he meets up with Talokan and Wakanda and he discovers their vibranium, which is probably his plan all along, he makes a new mask. That's how I see that going. Steve wields Mjolnir without his shield and is heavily featured throughout the film. We already know he's going to play a big role in this movie. Him not having the shield makes sense because he gave it to Sam. At least we think, but he gave it to Sam at the end when he was old. So we've seen him put the shield in the box, or at least we've seen him put his costume in the box. Why doesn't he have a shield? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he's letting Sam be the Captain America. But the next thing it says is that Thor does give Steve Mjolnir. So he doesn't have it at first, but he does give it to him, assuming Thor is going to rock Stormbreaker the entire time. So it says Doom is on the ship with the Fantastic Four from the Thunderbolts post-credit scene. And we've also heard that Steve is going to be on that ship as well from other insiders. So that's something we've heard before. Sentry wears the same suit from the Thunderbolts. Makes sense. Other characters got new suits, but Sentry's suit, not going to lie, was pretty baller. I really liked it. I hope he keeps it. Sounds like he is. Ant-Man's going to wear his Endgame suit. Okay. More than one Dora Milaje appears in the movie. We've pretty much seen that already. Doom has flashback scenes. This is something that I like. I like this a lot. We do need to see Doom's past. They do need to go over his origin story, so to say. I think they need to cover things like him being in love with this girl Valeria, him, you know, his mother making a deal with Mephisto, her dying, being sent to the Hell Realm, his father dying. I think, and Boris is a part of that as well. I do think we need to go over all of that. And of course, his college time in America being roommates with Reed Richards. We need to go over that. That's a must. So I'm glad that we're going to do flashback scenes because I think that will come in multiple forms. Like I think we'll probably get some flashbacks from the point of view of Reed Richards, maybe from the point of view of Sue, and then of course of him as well. So I like this. I like this. Excuse me. Steve reunites with Bucky, Sam, and Scott Lang. Of course, can't wait for that. I can't wait to see just everyone's reaction to that and just talking about what's going on. I feel like it's going to be very heartfelt, but then also get very serious very quickly. The X-Men are likely from the same universe as Gambit, and that's not necessarily the Fox universe. It's not the same exact timeline from the Fox universe. We know that already. Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus has already stated that because of the Days of Future Past, a different timeline was created. So it is different, but it's the same characters that we've known and loved in the X-Men films pretty much. And Gambit being from that universe, I think does make sense. This is very interesting. It says characters constantly travel between worlds, unknowingly accelerating the incursion between the three worlds. And I think the three worlds they're talking about is obviously 616, 828, and the Fox X-Men universe, or just the X-Men universe. That's interesting. And that does make sense because the more you would travel back and forth, according to kind of the rules that were established in Multiverse of Madness, the more that would confuse and destabilize the universe, which would accelerate the incursion. So that makes a lot of sense. I wonder how long it takes them to figure out that that's what's happening, like they're causing that. Steve gets Mjolnir back from Thor and does not initially have it with him. We talked about that before. Doom's female followers use magic and are not random henchmen. That would make sense if he chose Sylvie for a specific reason and Clea for a specific reason. I've actually thought since Multiverse of Madness and since they announced Doom, Clea is actually working for Doom. So I think that would make sense a lot as well. Pepper Potts is in the movie. The X-Mansion is destroyed. It seems like we kind of know that based on the teaser that we got for Avengers Doomsday for the X-Men. Looks like a lot gets destroyed. It says, then they state, as of now, the only X-Men members in the film are those already confirmed. Storm, Rogue, and Jean are reportedly not in the movie. They do state as of now. Remember, they are doing additional shoots soon. And even My Time to Shine Low, Alex Perez, others insiders have stated some characters have not filmed scenes yet, but since they are doing more shoots, they are going to film scenes. So yes, as of right now, they might not be in the movie because they haven't filmed yet, but they're going to film. Now, we don't know if they're actually going to be in the movie, but I'm just saying there is a chance that they could be in the movie. They just haven't shot yet. We'll have to wait and see. Charles and Eric play chess. We've already seen that. The Reed and Doom rivalry begins in this movie. I don't like begins in this movie. I would rather prefer continues in this movie, but maybe they state begins because this is the first time we see it. But if they went to college together and they're in the same universe and they have a history together, it makes sense that it would be going on already. It's just the first time we see it as the audience, and therefore it begins for us. I do think Doom is from the 828 universe, and I think he was probably out in the multiverse somewhere when all of the events with Galactus went down, because if he is from that universe and he saw everything happening, he would definitely be in Reed's face about it. He would be at the Baxter building. He would want to be involved. He would think he could do a better job than Reed. That's kind of like, you know, a big part of Doom and Reed's relationship. But since they showed the empty seat for Latveria twice in the film, I believe he is not just like off-world, but he is out of their universe, exploring the multiverse, because I think he discovered multiverse travel before Reed did, and that's important. So based on the first teaser, Steve has a son, and we've heard he's named James after Bucky, which is awesome, and that totally makes sense. Doom is initially unaware of who caused his suffering, but later discovers the truth and seeks revenge. Now, from what we've heard in the past, the truth is that Steve Rogers actually caused the incursion that ultimately ended up destroying his home. Unsure exactly how that plays out, but I've had my theory for a while that Doom actually figures out multiverse travel. He finds a universe where he finds a Sue and he falls in love with her and they have a child, and he just stays in that universe. And then that gets destroyed by an incursion, and Steve Rogers is the reason that incursion happened. So this actually does make sense to me, because we've heard a lot about Doom seeking revenge on Steve Rogers and people who have caused incursions, but then we've heard that Doom and Steve are on that Fantastic Four ship together, which I thought, well, that doesn't make sense if he doesn't like Steve. If he's trying to kill Steve, why are they on the same ship together? Why is Doom playing it like he's just like, you know, like it's no big deal? Well, if he doesn't know at first who exactly caused it, now it makes sense. So I actually do like this one. Sentry and Gambit share scenes together. That's going to be interesting. Sue and Namor share scenes together. And you know Namor's just going to be hitting on her all the time. At least that's, you know, comic accurate. So I'm assuming they're doing that. I like that. Sam already has his Avengers team formed at the start of the movie. We actually have heard that Sam has formed his Avengers team off screen already. And there was a time jump for the Thunderbolts. So that makes sense as well. Steve uses cracked Mjolnir, possibly the one from Thor, Love and Thunder. So the specific Mjolnir he's going to use is that one, not one from a different point in time. Walker gets his taco shield fixed by the Thing. I actually think that's going to be pretty cool. And we have seen the leak set photo that does show Walker and the Thing together. So that checks out. And yeah, the Thing could bend the shield. Totally. Because, yeah, it's not like it's vibranium. And I actually wonder if he could bend vibranium. We'll have to wait and see on that. Red Guardian gets his own shield, similar to the one from Black Widow. That's super cool. I love Red Guardian, one of my favorite characters. Steve's son is aged up. The teaser teaser may feature a flashback. Steve is bearded and wears regular clothes. I mean, we've seen some leaked photos of that, of the concept art, so that checks out. Doom keeps his mask on for about 90% of the movie, putting it on quickly after his interaction with Franklin in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. This kind of checks out as well. We've actually heard from people like John Campea that we don't actually find out why Dr. Doom looks like Tony until Secret Wars. And we've actually heard that all of the Avengers and the people don't really see that he looks like Tony until Secret Wars, which is an interesting decision, but one they're going with. So we'll wait and see what happens. Gambit wears an all-black suit and appears in it at the Baxter building. We've heard that these characters are kind of going back and forth between different universes, so makes sense he would be there. Sue also wears a black suit. Likely not Malice. I really hope it's not Malice. That's not the way we need to go in this movie. Just going to throw that out there. And is seen wearing it around Shuri. So possibly Shuri gives her a new suit, which makes sense. It would be probably laced with vibranium. Doom has 3 different suits in the movie. That's really interesting. Doom does not share scenes with Kate, Kamala, or Cassie. The 3 have small roles and share a scene in an apartment. So the formation of the Young Avengers, essentially. Steve does not trust Doom from the start, which leads to clashes with others. Doom discovers the root of his suffering later in the film, which would probably cause him to go against Steve. Yeah, I was already thinking that Steve was going to realize Doom couldn't be trusted from the very beginning, gonna view him as kind of a shady, shifty character. And this is just further proof of that, I believe. And clashing with others, I think there's going to be people who don't trust Doom and people who do trust Doom because he knows probably more than everybody else. And that's going to lead to kind of a civil war that we've talked about before. This one's very interesting. It says that in the Thor teaser, about 3 other characters are in the forest with Thor, but were edited out. That would be interesting. Because this feels like a private moment where he's trying to be alone. And yeah, maybe he's with other people and says, I need to be alone for a second. But I do believe when he's praying, he's alone. So we'll have to wait and see on that. In the Wakanda teaser, the Thing is in Earth 616, while Reed is in the X-Men universe. That makes sense. It does. And that would also be how the Thing bends John Walker's shield back. Yelena appears in the Avengers vs. X-Men, but not Hugh. Toby and Hugh fight in Act 1, which may set something up later. We've heard about that. We've heard it's actually going to be the opening scene. So yeah, we've done many reports on that. Deadpool sits on Reed's face, possibly flattening it. This is not the first time we've heard this, and it seems like a very Deadpool scene, not going to lie. It seems like a very Deadpool scene. Doom does not change himself to look like Tony, and is originally from the Fantastic Four's world. So, he already looks like Tony. So, we've heard they're not variants. We're really just going to have to wait and see on what the Russo brothers have come up with for the story as to why they look the same. So, the rest of this is just talking about how characters share scenes together. So, that's pretty much it for all these plot details. Like I said, a lot of different plot details. A lot I think does make sense. There's a few things in there that I don't like and that I don't think makes sense. Like Loki doesn't have his own team. I think Loki gets his own team. But you can go ahead and let me know what you think about that. And the rest of these plot details in the comments down below. Does this make you more excited for Doomsday or not? Let us know. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Avengers Doomsday and Marvel news. And you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.